we have a new addition to our family, Elsa. Hello and welcome, ladies, and welcome back to my channel, to my wonderful subscribers. There's nearly 800 of you now, so thank you so much. And to everyone who is stopping by for the first time, thanks for stopping by. Go ahead and check out some of my playlists on infertility and adoption, because I am guessing one of those two topics brought you here today. I am doing a series where I sit down and answer some of the common questions I get both here on YouTube and Instagram, as well as in person. Just people that are curious about how we chose our path and why. Today, I'm going to answer the question of why we decided to go with infant adoption instead of international adoption. First, it's important to acknowledge that international adoption rates have been going down for the last several years because of a few factors. The most common ones that I hear mentioned are, one, that the amount of countries that will allow US parents to adopt is going down. This is because of overall political tensions. This is because of restrictions or exploitations, which kind of leads into the second point, which is that restrictions overall are getting greater in almost every country. This stems from the fact that there has been an exploitation of children and adoptive parents, where children were being taken from families and essentially sold to US or Canada-based parents under the guise that they were adoptive children. Some programs have shut down completely, some have just become very restrictive. Any way you slice it, the amount of adoptions coming from international sources to the United States is on the decline. That being said, there are still quite a few countries that you can adopt from. China, Ethiopia, South Korea, Ukraine, Vietnam, India, Colombia, Thailand, Philippines, Haiti, Ecuador are all still open to applications from US-based parents. I'm not going to go through each individual country and give you the specifications. One, because I didn't look at them all, and two, because they change so rapidly. If there's a country that kind of speaks to you and you think that's where you want to go, then I highly recommend getting the latest and greatest information and getting it from a reputable source. Even for the light amount of research I did for this video, I found it very difficult to find websites that were reputable and accurate, and there was a lot of conflicting information. So I highly recommend digging a little deeper, getting good sources when you're looking at international adoptions, and maybe starting out with choosing an agency or firm to help you with that process before you get too deep into it and realize that you're not qualified for that particular program. While each country has restrictions, the agency you work with will also have restrictions. So maybe the country that you're adopting from is fine with single parents, but the agency you're working with isn't. Make sure that you reconcile both of those sets of requirements before pursuing adoption in either a country or with an adoption agency. I'm going to go ahead and work through some of the common restricted areas when you're looking at international adoption, just so that you have them top of mind while you're doing your research, and make sure you get the restrictions for each of these topics for the country that you're looking at if you choose to go further. You'll find that we didn't qualify in a large chunk of countries, which is one of the reasons that I didn't go ahead and go with international adoption, is we simply didn't qualify it. The first restriction is an age restriction. Most countries fall between saying that the parents need to be 25 to 45. They don't want super young parents, and a lot of countries don't want super old ones. So we were fine. I think China's the only one we didn't qualify for because they want both parents to be 30. Marital status and the length of your marriage is the next one, and this is the one that hit us the hardest as far as disqualifying a bunch of countries. Some countries are okay with single parents. Some of them specify that it's okay to have just a woman but not just a man adopt a child, and then all countries will specify whether or not they're okay with same-sex couples. Again, that's another one where I found maybe that country's okay with it but an agency wouldn't. Just something to be cognizant of. The next thing that kind of made me not super want to pursue international adoption as our first route to building our family was the children's age. Most of the time when you're looking to adopt internationally, the child is going to be quite a bit older. Most countries do not do infant adoptions. The closest I found was Colombia, that does 3-month-old adoptions. A lot of other countries and agencies are going to be doing adoptions of children that are 1 to 2 years old or older. Of course, it is much easier to get a sibling set, older children above the age of 6, I believe, and those with designated special needs. Those are always going to be a lot quicker and a lot cheaper, whether you're looking domestically in the United States or internationally. That was the age of the children was another reason that we decided not to pursue international adoption. We just wanted an infant. So that disqualified us from most of the international programs. International adoption, they'll also look at your finances, but that's pretty similar to international adoption, so that wasn't an issue. The health requirements, again, same as the United States. I think some countries get a little more restrictive of what you can and can't have as far as any physical ailments, but for the most part that shouldn't hold you back. Choosing gender was something that didn't come into play, but as you're looking at international adoption, if you do want to choose gender, some countries allow that. And then family size was another thing that didn't really bother us because we are fine. We don't have any kids, so we don't meet any of the limits of some of these countries' maximum family sizes. Another reason I chose not to go with international adoption was just that the cost wasn't that much less. Some programs were a little more expensive, some were a little less. It was really dependent on how much it costs you to travel there, which leads me to my final point, which was all of these countries will have a visit requirement, which means you need to stay for X number of weeks over X amount of visits to qualify for adoption. A lot of times that's maybe 1 visit, you need to stay 2 weeks. I think that's China's. But some places need you to have residency, so you have to stay there a whole year, or you need to come for a month, meet your child, go back for a few months, and then come stay for another month to adopt your child. These big long trips coming up unexpectedly, and I don't know, it was just very overwhelming. It was very overwhelming to me to think of picking up, going to this country, staying for a whole month. Neither the husband or I's job is really conducive to just piecing out for a month. Or working remotely 100% of the time. Maybe I could swing that, the husband certainly couldn't. So you're looking at taking a leave of absence without pay, which is super fun when you're trying to save for adoption. Anyway, all of that thought process just made me feel stressed. And I was trying to do adoption in kind of the least stressful way for me right now, because that's what I needed. And finally, the last one I almost forgot was that open adoptions usually aren't a thing internationally because of stigmas around adoptions, or because these people drop these children off at orphanages. It's not quite the same structure as the United States, so you would only have closed adoptions, which was something we were trying to avoid if possible. The closed nature of the adoptions, the comparable costs, the excess amount of travel time, and the restrictions, the fact that we didn't meet the marriage requirement for most of these agencies when we started this process. We just celebrated our 3rd wedding anniversary, which is great, and 10 years together, which is weird to think about. But at the time when we started this whole adoption process a few months ago, or 6 months ago, we had only been married 2 years, which made it so we didn't qualify for a lot of these organizations. And I didn't want to have to wait until our marriage, I guess, anniversary to get started. So I hope that clears up why we went with domestic infant adoption instead of trying to pursue adoption internationally. If any of you have great stories from adopting internationally, I would love to hear it. It's definitely something that is on my radar post baby number 1, and I would love to hear some good experiences if you have them. If you want to stick around for the rest of our adoption and fertility journey, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Oh, and I have a surprise for you. This will be next week's video. Unfortunately, she wasn't feeling so good, so I couldn't get the video out this week, but here, hold on. We have a new addition to our family. Elsa, say hello, Elsa girl. Yes, you're gonna get your own video next week when you feel a little better. Yes, I broke down and got a dog. Follow me on Instagram to see all of the cute puppy pictures, and until next time, ladies, keep on fighting.